Hello, what is up, This is your boy alertwolf here to bring you another review. This is a new anime review. I'm doing it on Arata The Legend. And so this is a new show I'm reviewing. Yeah, man. Again, if you guys have been paying attention, the reason why I didn't start at episode 1 and now it's like 6. Oh, and by the way, it's on Arata The Legend episode 6, but is because... And this one is called, Okia Road. Yeah. It's because, my channel had the issues with the copyright, then it shut down, come back. Well, needless to say, I couldn't start on it until now. And my reason for doing this particular show has to do with the fact that, it reminded me of Kiba. And both stories are similar. Dude comes from one world, goes to the other world, finds out that he has the legendary item or artifact. This one's a ball, and the spirit, and the other one is a sword. That is destined to change things. And their friend / rival also goes and has similar stuff happen to him. So, I mean, there you go. I'm really enjoying the series. And, let me just get right into the episode review. Excuse me. So basically, what goes down is, after the big prison, after they leave the prison, they end up going to Genshi's island to get him back to his mom, to try to find his mom. They end up finding his mother. The first people they find, coincidentally, was his mother's tribe or village, and they're going back to where they came from, basically. Or not where they came from. They're going to go hide in the Outer Lands, because, or is it Borderlands, something like that, because they feel like there's an impending war, because the struggle over the 12 taking over. Somebody has to be king now. So there's going to be a war, an internal war between the 12. And so they're bouncing. We also get the separation of Kanate and Genchi, because basically he feels like his clan was responsible for him being separated. He couldn't stay with them, so in the end they end up leaving together, and Arata takes him with him, and the three of them go in the woods and they end up running into this chick, and she basically she basically has an egg, and this big animal thing is chasing them, and it's a lot of funny stuff. And then Kanade is saved from this thing by Okia, right? Oka. I don't know. My pronunciation of names is bad. But seeing as how we're not going to need to know the name of this character too much longer, I'm alright with it. But basically, he is underneath Kanagi. Now, what you have to understand is, think of this as a feudal setup. So Kanagi is like the lord, right? And then Ohaiki, or whatever, Ohiki, I don't know, I'm bad at names. He's like a knight underneath him who runs his own little fiefdom, right? So that's what you have to understand about this whole mess. So basically, they so then Arata collapses. They take him back to his house. He wakes up. after being taken care of by this guy and his family, and his wife is pregnant. They're very good people, but once they find out who he works for, they're nervous. So basically, as the episode goes on, they're confronted by him, and he basically lets them know he knows who he is, and he knows that he couldn't have been this bad guy people are making him out to be, because the guy from the previous episode wouldn't have submitted. And his sword, because every sword has its own power, his power is that of a forge, so it was able to repair Kanate's weapon and stuff like that. And so his power isn't offensive, but he's like, not everybody's power is. Now, Ohaika basically gets a message that somebody from the 12 is coming to see. So he instructs Arata and his crew to leave, but they end up sticking around to watch. Now, basically, Akachi, that's his name, that's who he's going to go meet. Now, Kanage, I'm sorry, I'm looking down, I don't know their names yet, so. Kanage, basically, on his way home, all his kingdoms have been ransacked and everybody has been killed, so he's going to this place, which is the next place over, to see if everybody's alright. And basically, Akachi of he's telling Okia that it was his boss, Kasanagi, who killed the princess and framed Arata, and that he should be loyal to him and serve him, because this guy's doing this just for a bit of the crown. Now, he doesn't believe him. He's like, listen, man, I don't know if I could trust what you're saying, and I gotta talk to my dude. I'm loyal, basically. All right, at this point, he loses his cool. He takes out his weapon, which is like a spear with the sword at the end of it, a long spear, and his power is that of earth. So he causes earth to rise and threatens his pregnant wife. And he's like, listen, I'm gonna kill this bitch unless you submit to me. Now he wants him to submit, which is merging with your sword in spiritual form, and you lose your body, and then your sword merges with his sword. And he's like, I don't know. Now, at this point, Arata's there watching. He takes out his sword, but does nothing. This moment of bitchitude almost makes me hate this character. Actually, it does make me hate him for the first time. Like, I hate him. I'm like, dude, just act. Because now this guy has to sacrifice himself, and you could act to do anything. So he doesn't do anything, and this guy's like, listen, promise you'll spare my wife, my people, and my guests, meaning Arata, because he knows Arata's there. And he's like, sure, I will. So he submits, merges with the dude, and then two maids walk in, and they've seen too much. Those bitches are dead, and you see the blood splatter. So now he knows things have gone wrong, and he's about to kill the pregnant wife. Now this is, again, why I hate Arata. Arata should act. He should have acted before, but he knows that he just killed two chicks. He's about to kill this dude's wife, who's pregnant, and he does nothing. Horrible. And then he does kill her. Now, the fact that he killed the pregnant chick in this ratchets things up a little bit, because I didn't think they'd go there. So he does nothing, but the other dude realizes he's there, cuts the sheet, he sees him. Kasanagi gets there a second too late. Epic throwdown battle between the two of them. Apparently this all has to do with Kasanagi killed some chick or something. Well, who knows? The earth versus fire battle continues, but the earth dude has specifically taken out all of his vassals, basically, all of the knights underneath him, and taken all their swords. He beats him, takes his sword, and is trying to torture him into merging with his sword and submitting. Now, what happens here is, finally, our boy Arata grows a pair, steps in and stops it from happening. And then he bounces, and he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna leave you swordless and like this. Eventually, you'll come to me, and I'll just take you. Live in shame and know what the pain of loss is." So he bounces. They all bounce, and so the chick says, they all bounce, and then at night one of the themes is the sword that can rule them all, basically, without having to kill anybody. And they figure out it's his legendary sword of light. Now, his legendary sword of light, he finally finds out the name for it. The moment he says the name, a few explosion of energy happens, and different characters are now aware of him, almost like the Avatar getting his power. It's very similar to that. And from there, we get a quick little wrap up where he talks to the chick and that helped him out and who's been throughout this episode. He's like, if I could win, maybe, I could bring him back, and maybe it's possible. I feel like it is. Now, something to note about his sword. His sword is the king's sword, where all other swords came from. His sword is the sword of origins. Now, interesting to note that we know, and meanwhile, I skipped, but the other Arata in his world is trying to figure out his life. Now, we do know that his bully and rival in the human world, thanks to the credits, will be appearing at some point in that world. And his weapon will be shadow, whereas his is light, the other one is dark. So it's interesting to see how that dynamic will play out. And just a quick little explanation on the switching. It's very similar to Quantum Leap. How they quantum leaped into each other's body. That's the best way I could describe it. So they see themselves as themselves, but nobody else does. That's just another concept of the show that I like. So, now what did I give this episode? I thought the fighting was awesome. The pacing and story progression were okay. Animation was good. I hated the relapse of his character from being a bitch, but he did address it at the end of the episode and claimed to be moving forward, and you got to see that. So hopefully this will be his last bitch moment. But having said that, that really did hurt me. It was the first time I was actually hated that character for a second, because I do like him. So I'm gonna give this one a 3, 2.5, a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3. It was a good episode. Especially with the killings and all that. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. But this episode would have had a 3.5 if he wasn't such a bitch. So, having said all that, click it up if you like it, comment if you must, and please, please, please subscribe if you can. And this is your buddy Alert Wolf signing off.